On behalf of ABC Airlines and the entire crew, I would like to thank you for joining on this trip, and we are looking forward to seeing you on board again in the near future. Have a nice day and enjoy your stay. I'm sure you have heard this kind of spiel before on a flight. On behalf of ABC Airlines and the entire crew, I would like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we are looking forward to seeing you on board again in the near future. While you are here, make sure to taste the butter chicken of Old Delhi and make a visit to the India Gate. Have a nice day and enjoy your stay. On one airlines, I kept on hearing something like this, with that line in between. And the more I heard it, the more I kept thinking, what is it? Why is this so much better? Is it just a crazy scriptwriter who put it in? Or was the manager who told the scriptwriter put it in? Or was it a media agency who did it? And then I started noticing the customer centricity of the airline. From the time you walked into the airport to the time you walked out of the airport, this airline would do something which was very, very customer centric again and again and again. And then I realized that the difference for that is culture. Right? Culture is the single biggest differentiator in how two companies deliver the same product or a service. In fact, Merriam-Webster Dictionary named culture as the most important word of 2014. Culture is important both in large companies and in small companies. In fact, in the growing entrepreneurial ecosystem of India, culture has become probably the single most important tool that a young company can have to retain the best talent. While it might seem very obvious, it's probably one of the hardest things to develop and maintain. When companies are large and they want to build culture, there are just too many people and moving parts to build one. When companies are small and they want to build culture, there is just so many competing priorities that a founding team might have that they may not be able to focus on culture. And that's what makes it difficult. And when you start building one, you just don't need to build one, you need to sustain one, which means it kind of needs to go into your DNA. It needs to start from the founding team, into the key senior team, into their teams, and so on and so forth. And believe me, life catches on every day you go to work, and you kind of keep on putting it on the back burner. But that's probably the single most differentiator. I want to spend some time today talking about the 5 values that formed as the cornerstones of the culture at my last startup. The first one, and probably the most important one for me, has been build it for yourself. So around 10 months back, there was a product launch that was due for my company. My head of technology was out because his sister was getting married and he was on a break. And this was a day when his sister was getting married. I got a call from someone who said that they would like to see the product. The product wasn't supposed to be out for another 10 hours. I called up our technology partner team and asked them, hey, can you make a push earlier? And the guys were like, sorry, this is not possible. We still have some work left, blah, blah, blah. I called up my head of technology and I asked him, hey, is it possible to get the product out earlier? Is there some way we can do it? And he's like, when do you need it by? And I said, 2 hours. And he said, sure. And he hung up the phone. And there I was, all stressed out, like walking around, figuring out what is going to happen, because he didn't offer me any conversation. An hour and a half later, I got a call saying, Ishan, the product is launched. Go do it. And I was like, thank you so much. You know, this means a lot. Your sister is getting married today. He's like, Ishan, it's done. Please go do whatever you need to do. To me, that is build it for yourself. When you build a team, you want people to have responsibility and ownership, right? And I spent a lot of time thinking, how do you develop that in people? And I said, you can develop it if you tell them that you are doing this for yourself. And you are not doing it for yourself because you are in the company today or because someone asked you to do it. You are doing this for yourself because one day you will leave the company. And I think that is the day for which you should be working, the day you will leave the company. Because after that day, the work that you did in the company will be your story. And that is a story that nobody can take away from you. That's your professional story. So therefore, I would tell people, don't build it for me, don't build it for the company, build it for yourself for the day when you quit and you leave and move forward, so that it always keeps with you. collaboration. I was pursuing my business school at Stanford, and one of our classes were around entrepreneurship and to create a business plan. At that point, a group was made which consisted of 4 of us. There was a Japanese McKinsey consultant. There was a Filipino engineer. There was a Chilean entrepreneur. And there was I who had come from India. And we came together in a group to decide a topic that we could work a business plan on. And after some discussion, we realized that we had no common interest, right? I mean, there were 4 different countries, very different backgrounds, really no common interest. And at that point, I kind of pushed in saying, hey, I'm going to go back to India. Is it possible to maybe make a business plan on education sector in India? Let's try a business there. And they were like, okay, sure, let's do that. There was no better topic available, right? I thought that that was kind of a win for me because I had convinced 3 others to work for a project that was important for me. And I came back. And then I realized, holy crap, none of these guys have ever visited India. They don't know anything about the Indian education sector. Will we be able to produce any significant result? What happened over the next few weeks was incredible because we ended up making a phenomenal business plan and presented it to the class. In fact, that business plan became the foundation of the company that I launched after coming back to India. And what I realized was, if you put smart people, diverse people in a room and you make them to collaborate, magic will happen, right? And this, to the context of the companies that we are all part of or building, is extremely important. You know, in large companies, again, there are large teams and you just stay busy there. In small companies, the senior teams typically have so much of bandwidth constraint that they start working in silos. So the tech team is working separately and the marketing team is working separately. Everyone is doing their own job and they're doing it really passionately, but they're doing it in silos. And as a result, collaboration kind of starts reducing. And that is where it is really important to build a cultural value around collaboration. And you keep on telling people that collaboration is important. You keep on doing stuff to get people in the same room and literally collaborate. I would jokingly tell my team, I'm going to lock you guys in and let's just talk, right? Let's just figure out a topic and let's talk and let's figure out what we are doing and let's make it happen together. And that always worked. You know, everyone wanted to leave and do their own parts. But if you can just get them together, because there is so many resources, right? You're working in a company, you have similar-minded people who have joined you for the same cause. Get them together, make them collaborate. This one is often heard, caring for your customer, right? Almost every large company will have a board that says, we care about your customer. If they're slightly better, they'll say, we care about our employees, because if we care about our employees, they'll care about the customers, right? But one thing that I always think about, who is your customer? Is it really the guy who pays for the service or the product? Is that your customer? I think that guy is the company's customer, right? But for me, if I'm part of an organization, my customer might be different. So for a sales guy or a business development guy, the customer is probably the guy who's going to pay some money to use your product or service. But what if you're the technologist? Then your customer is the product manager, right, who wants you to build something for him. What if you are the front office administrator? Your customer is anybody who walks into the office. What if you are the finance guy? Every employee in the company is your customer. What if you are an HR guy? Every new joinee, every guy who's exiting the company, every guy who's working in the company is your customer. And I think it is important to identify who is my customer in that organization and then serve him and care about him. If we genuinely do that, if we genuinely care about our customer, then we will definitely be able to make a long-lasting impact on the organization, and we'll be able to create brand ambassadors for us. And that is very important because those brand ambassadors will love you for what you have done for them and will be able to take your brand forward, whether they are your paying customers or not. And that is where I say that really care for your customer. Do it today if you want to do it tomorrow. One of the favorite quotes for me is by this American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he says, the time, like today, is always good, but if we know what to do with it. What he's saying is that every moment is a good moment if you know what you can do with it. I think for younger companies, every moment is the moment when you have to do something with it. Small companies typically have the benefit of speed. The thing that they do not have at all is time, right? You have to always be in paranoia. You have to develop a culture where people are paranoid that someone else is about to launch the same product, which will just be better than yours. Or there is another competitor who just got funded and is about to scale up your business. Or there is a large company who is really impressed by what you are doing and will try to emulate that model and make it bigger and better. There will always be someone there who is faster than you, more funded than you, probably has smarter people than you. And the only thing that you can really do at that point is speed, speed, speed. And for that, you have to do it today instead of doing it tomorrow. So companies who are able to keep procrastination out of their ethos are really more successful than others. And you can be surprised by each time you kind of push people to do things faster than slower. The total amount of time that is saved is immense, and we kind of don't realize it. And you just have to do an experiment to figure out if you had done it slower versus you did it faster, how much time you could have saved. There is no way to really measure it, but it can just become part of your culture that let's just do it today instead of doing it tomorrow, right? And I by no means am saying that we have to compromise on quality. All I am saying is maintain the same quality, but just don't let procrastination come in, because that probably is the single biggest deterrent in a company that wants to grow fast. Be the solution, get work done. At work, we'll always be faced with problems. 1, 2, 3, they'll keep on coming. They're like trains at a platform. They'll come, they'll go, they'll come, they'll go. What is important is to find solutions for them. Very quickly, cultures start building up where there are two kinds of camps. There is the problem relaying camp, and there is a solution seeker camp, right? So problem relaying camp is, this is the problem, what can I do? This is tough, I don't know what to do. The solution seeking camp is, let's get a solution for it. What is interesting is that for most problems that come up on a day-to-day basis, the solutions already exist, or there is a tweak in the last solution. It might be a variation of the problem may be a variation of an already existed or solved problem, and hence the solution may also be a tweak on a solution that already exists. The crux is to figure out how can you enable everyone to become part of the solution-seeking camp. And the way to do that is really inculcate a safe environment within an organization where people are willing to take risks and understand that taking risk will not have grave consequences even if they were to fail on that topic. And once you kind of inculcate that safe environment and tell them, go ahead and figure out the solution and get work done, you will see a massive change in an organization, because people realize that they can take that risk and make work done. Now, this is really hard, because in the Indian context, there is always this push, there's always this feeling that let's kind of push the problem up the hierarchy so that someone else can find the solution and the monkey's off your back and it's on someone else's back, right? So the leaders have to really move from the front and tell everyone that, okay, let's do it. And if someone makes a mistake, make it a point to address everyone and tell them that it's just a mistake and the guy tried and that's what matters, instead of publicly lashing out and saying that, how could we have done that, right? So it is really important that that fail-safe culture is kind of made inside and people know that they can take that risk and move ahead. These are some of the points that really worked for me. Every time I have to book an air ticket, and there are different prices showing on an online travel booking portal, I always think about that announcement. Even if I am knowing that I'm going to go to a city and I'm going to have a whole day of meetings and I'm going to come back, I still want to hear that announcement and see what is the air hostess going to talk about, which eating joint or which monument to see. It's just exciting to hear that. Even at night, let's say I'm coming back at 1 a.m. and they're going to say, have a nice day in Delhi. I'm still have the next, whatever you are here for, do it nicely. I still want to hear, have they changed their script? Are they going to tell another place to visit? Are they going to tell another food to try? Because I feel that airlines cares about me even after I leave the plane. And they want me to have the next day as a good day. And they are suggesting me that these are some of the things you can do to make a good day. What it does for me is it makes my choice of choosing the airline easier. So even if there is a price difference or whatever, I know that I'll prefer this airline because I just enjoy the whole experience. and that comes from their culture. If you are part of an organization that already has values defined, I would request you to emulate them and see if you agree with them, and then try to live by them. And in case you're in an organization that you're building or you're part of, where the values have still not been defined, I think it's a great time to do that, because they will definitely be a competitive advantage in whatever business that you are building. So I think go home, define your values, your culture for the organization, and try to build on that. Thank you.